Welcome back to another video. On this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the Sigma Art 14 to 24 2.8 for the Sony E-mount. It's also available for L-mount. Maybe you saw my previous video that was just kind of like a quick unboxing and a quick overview of the lens. I went outside, did some AF testing, and by the way, some of the AF testing, I should have done a little bit better job of not jumping in and out of frame as fast as I was. I had my Sony a7 III set to be a little bit too slow because I like a more cinematic pull focus instead of it just racking very fast. A little bit of that is my fault, but there's nothing wrong with this lens as far as autofocus is concerned. I went downtown, put the a7 III and the Sigma lens on my Ronin S and just did a little bit of walking around down there just to see what it would look like, because most of the time me using this lens is going to be on a gimbal. Let's jump into my Final Cut Pro project now and let's see what it looks like. That way you guys can decide if you want to buy this lens or not. Alright, so here we are over in my Final Cut Pro project. I went through and kind of cut all the B-roll together. I was shooting at 1080p, 60 frames a second, which is what I usually do when I'm using the Ronin. I love that slow cinematic look. And I shoot at 4K a decent bit. It just depends on what I'm shooting. A lot of times using the gimbal, it is B-roll footage that I'm shooting. So I went downtown here in Jacksonville and did a couple of walks. This is, I forget the name of it. It's like a little park there in Jacksonville. So let's go ahead and play that. So you notice, I don't notice any vignetting on the sides. This is at 14 millimeters. I'm not seeing any vignetting on the edges at all. I am noticing it on the pictures. I'll show you some pictures at the end of this. I am noticing some vignetting there at 14 millimeters. Definitely not at 24. So I'll try not to stop it too much here. So, you know, I did add a little bit of a stabilization on there. You're gonna see my exposure is kind of a little all over the place this day. I wasn't really going for any of that. I was thinking of this video specifically when I was shooting these things. See, that's overexposed there, but I'm liking the lens so far. For me, thinking of using this lens professionally for, you know, real estate, weddings, whatever I plan to use it for, events, nice establishing shots, interior shots. Liking it so far. Let this play out so you guys can judge for yourselves. Hopefully we don't lose too much quality since I'm recording my screen here instead of actually just showing you the footage, which I can do. If it comes out bad, that's what I'll do. I got some more other ones other than this tree, I promise. But you see the sun flares coming in, looking nice and natural. It's looking good to me. I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary there. My wife got an A6000 recently just for taking photos. She's getting into photography, so it's an older camera. It's from 2014, but it still takes fantastic pictures. So if you're looking for just a photo camera, it takes all of our E-mount lenses. So you know, it's a great camera. We got it for I think like $500 at Best Buy instead of spending a ton of money. On like an A6400 or something like that. She doesn't care about video. Again, this is at 14. So this is at 24. I shot this specifically 2 different times. So this is at 24 millimeters. And then I do it again here at 14. So you can see the difference. Again, obviously getting a lot more in the background. Pause right here. I really think this is just shadows on the edges. I don't see any of the vignetting, which is, it's strange that you're getting the maybe one of you guys could explain that to me, why I would be getting vignetting in pictures and not in video at 14 millimeters. So I did this specifically to see the lines, to see if you can see any of the bowing of the lines. I know that really matters to some of us. So looking pretty natural to me. I'm not seeing like, boom, let's stop right there. So you're seeing it's bowing, and I don't think I was standing perfectly straight here, but it's bowing just a little bit, but it's so not noticeable to me. I guess I need to pull out the Rokinon 14 millimeter that some of you guys have asked about. That lens is like $400, $500, maybe $600. I can't remember, but it's a 14 2.8, and I just don't like it. It's okay for getting the job done, but so you see here that the everything's pretty straight. And then as we roll up, let's pick this line right here. As we're rolling up, It's pulling out just a little bit. Yeah, you're seeing it bow just a little bit. Let's go back. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, and I haven't used a ton of wide-angle lenses. I've used the 16 to 35, and it's fantastic as well. But having that extra little two more millimeters is quite beneficial to me. Unless you need it, do you need to go from 24 to 35? I mean, some of you guys might need to go to 35, and that 16 to 35 might be worth it for you. But to me, you know, again, like I said in the last video, I already have a 24 to 70. I wish there was a 24 to 105 that was like a 2.8 that would just solve all of our problems. I don't think that's possible given how large the glass would have to be. So this is an underslung mode with the Ronin S. Again, exposure's all over the place. I apologize. It was so hot here in Florida, and I just threw it on auto ISO, which I never do. If anything that matters, I never use auto ISO. So it was blowing out some highlights, and obviously I wouldn't do this shot either, seeing my shadow here, but for the purpose of this video, and I always find it hard to actually see my screen. I wasn't using my external screen. Right now, for recording this, I'm using the Atomos Shinobi just to make sure everything's on, until I'm praying that A7S III comes with a flip out screen of some sort so I can see if I'm even recording. It's kind of would be necessary. Okay, I like this shot, just kind of pushing in between some of these limbs. Nice sun coming in, but all natural looking footage. I'm not seeing much distortion. So this was over at the park, another park, different area. You can see hello waving to you, and then we moving around it, circular motion. Looking pretty good to me. It might be bowing a little bit. Actually, let's throw. I've never had to throw any kind of barrel distortion fix on much footage, other than when I'm using the Mavic Pro 2, which I got. I believe it was Film Poets created a free barrel distortion fix for the full field of view version mode in your Mavic 2 Pro. So let me open that up. I'm having a look around my camera here. Let's open that up. There we go. And I'm gonna go into my video. Let's find Film Poets, and let's throw that on this, and let's see what happens. Let's okay, there we go. That's a good spot. Okay, so it's taken away some of that distortion. Is it overcorrecting? I don't know. But you know, it's definitely flattening things out a bit. But all the other footage that we've looked at, let's look at this whole thing with that on now. Off, on, off, on. I don't know. I feel like, and again, this was made for the Mavic, not for this lens itself. Maybe there's another plugin or something you guys know of. It might even be baked into Final Cut. I'm just not aware of. Haven't had to do it very much. Let's throw it on this one as well. This one's looking particularly bowed out now that I'm seeing the other one. Off, on, off, on. I don't know. I don't think it matters personally, but I'll leave that up to you guys. Nice palm trees. All good looking footage. It's sharp. To me at least, it's sharp. Alright, we don't have to go through everything. This is, so this was obviously at 24, and this one was at 14 millimeter. Let's move it along. Okay, so I did this to look at, let's take a look at the palm tree here, so that we can see if it bows very much. And let's throw that distortion fix on that as well. So here we go. Let's lock it right there. Boom, boom. On, off, on, off. No, it's not changing much. Again, off, like right there, that's pretty straight. Off, on. So it is fixing a bit, but I'm tempted to say it looks better with it off. That's 14, I'm pretty sure. Here we go, a boat. I think I pan to the right here. Looks good. And so that was it. This is at 24. And this is at 14, same shot. Yeah, looks good. Walking down the sidewalk off the riverfront, downtown Jacksonville. You know, I should have squatted down there and got that rail a little bit more in the forefront, but it was, like I said, it was so hot. Didn't feel like it. I do a lot more when I'm getting paid to do work, for sure. Did that just to see if it was it would be bowed at all either. Not really. It's this weird mosaic thing underneath the bridge there. It's kind of strange. A lot of the artwork and stuff downtown Jacksonville is kind of like... I've lived here my whole life, and I'm just not a fan of the way that they do things. It's looking choppy. Why is that looking so choppy? Oh, you know what? I bet I know why it's looking so choppy. So we're going to get to that in a second. But would water really be that good of a meter for that? Okay, I'll just tell you. So part of the problem with this lens is there is not an option for me to put an ND filter on it. So I was having to crank that shutter all day because I was shooting at 2.8 most of the time. I would move it up some, and that, you know, obviously that's an option. You just bump it up to 8 or 5.6 or whatever. But what if you want that 2.8 depth of field? So I decided to just pretty much leave it at 2.8. And, you know, cranking the shutter, usually I don't have that much of a problem with. Like I said, here I was at 60 frames a second, so I was shooting at 1/125th of a second, and that's normally what I'd be shooting at. But I think some of this, I was cranking it up to 2,000 just to get an exposure that was somewhat decent, because I was already at ISO 100. So I don't know. You guys tell me. Maybe I'm blanking on this here, but would that be, because this is 60 frames, so I'm not sure. That's why this water is looking pretty choppy, and it's not looking nice and smooth like it normally would. I think this is back down. So there is some vignetting on this one, I feel like. Don't you? Do you guys see that? Kind of up in the corners. It's easier to see, obviously, in the sky. And so on this one, anyone else that uses the Ronin S, you guys please tell me if you found a fix for this, because everywhere I've looked, I'm on a Ronin S user group on Facebook. I've looked everywhere. Do you see how this right here looks a little bit off? Sometimes my Ronin S it'll be tilted. Like whenever you double tap the trigger to bring it back to neutral, it's crooked, and I have to manually turn it to be more straight, and it's so frustrating. I've had to shoot weddings, so like on this footage right here, so you can see that it's kind of turning a little bit. Let's put on horizon, turn on show horizon, and then on this I have the C button set for, okay, and then let's zoom in a bit. Let's get, all right, so we got the two rails right here. So that would be my neutral right there. So this is at 0, rotation 0. So you can see right here, the rail is right there, and then it's coming below on this side. So it's obviously not straight. So I'm getting sidetracked here, but I usually have to crop in my footage a bit. So you see, on the edges there, I'm having to crop it in order for it to be straight like that. My whole thing, so I'm losing a little bit of my footage, because then you have to transform in a little bit so you are not getting any of that black on your edges. But as far frustrating. Anyway, sorry for the rabbit hole there. But I did this shot thinking of us that do real estate and stuff like that, you know, holding it a little bit lower, a little more eye level, I should say. I think I was holding it a little bit below eye level as you're passing through kitchen countertops and, you know, whatever else that you're filming, you know, put your own situation on it. And then we're getting to the end here. This is just a little, these poles, I was trying to use them for any kind of distortion as well. Quick little parallax. At this point in the day, I was so done because we had to walk all the way back still. All right, so I panned up and down a couple times on this one. Again, it's not on the end, and I had it looks like I had something on my sensor or the front of the lens there, but all right, so I put the barrel distortion fix on there, off, on, off, on. Look right here. Off, on, off, on. I don't know. Again, if I were to play it without telling you, would you even notice? You know, I don't know. You see, yeah, I think that's just natural for a 14 millimeter. I mean, like, I don't want to be too picky with that. But that was the main reason I went out here, because I wanted to see how bad it would be, because that's what most of you guys were asking on the last video, was about the barrel distortion. Little parallax around this guy. I think he symbolizes like the watchman in the Navy. I could be wrong, I should know more about my city. Another little parallax. It was backlit, the sun was behind it, so I had little chance of exposing it all correctly. So, all right, picture time. So, as my Shinobi is dying, which is okay. But, okay, so here is one image. This image is at, you can see 14 millimeter f11, 1/125th of a second at ISO 50. I think let's reset the image. I reset it back to 0. Yeah, I was playing around with a bunch of presets on there before. Let's just hit auto on there and see what it looks like. So outside of the dirty sensor that I had there, which probably was on the lens itself. So we're gonna do enable profile correction. You see the vignetting on the edges there. Let's hit enable profile correction. It doesn't automatically pick this lens up right now. So let's go, as soon as you hit Sigma though, it does. So boom, finds the Sigma 14. You can see it right there. So on, off, on, off. Look right here on the edges, on the right edges. On, off. You know, gets rid of some of that vignetting. Dark, look how dark it is there. On. So, I mean, and I usually turn that on for every image that I do, no matter what lens I'm shooting with, just to, you know, eliminate any of the barrel distortion. But, and it brightens up the edges and stuff typically. Let's go to another image here. Now, this is just the raw image, no editing yet. You can see a lot of vignetting on the edges for sure. Auto, no profile correction yet, enable. Go down to Sigma, fixes it. I don't want to keep doing the off-on game, but you guys get it. But and if you're seeing it look kind of crummy, I usually import my images at a really low resolution so that the editing is faster and it just exports in a high resolution. So I don't know if you can see any of that stuff. It's a smart preview. There you go. So it went away. So you can see how pretty. I mean, let's go to a 4:1 here. And again, I think some of that's the smart preview. If you see it not being too sharp there, I should have imported these at full resolution. But I mean, it's looking pretty sharp. This is at 14 at f5, and 1/800th of a second ISO 50. Obviously, this again would have been a good time for an ND filter. So, you know, I'm gonna have to figure out that ND filter thing, because the back of the lens, you know, where the mount side of the lens has a space for something, and I just don't know what that is. If you guys have figured it out yet, I haven't been looking into it. I've been too busy. So if you know of something, please leave a comment and let me know. We're getting a little long on this video, but I want to figure that out because I do want to use this lens more outside so I can trust it and know that I'm not gonna have to crank my shutter too much. Here we go, enable profile correction again, Sigma. I know I could just copy and paste these, but in fact, let's go ahead and do that. Shift, sync. No, we don't have to do that. Calibration, where is it? Is that it? Is it lens corrections? There we go. Synchronize. All right. Yeah, looks good. You know, you can do a little editing on these. They look fine. Let's crank the shadows all the way up. Smart preview come in. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's across the river over there. And again, it would look even better if I wasn't a dummy and imported with smart previews. But actually, let's export this at full resolution. Hope you guys don't mind this video being a little longer than usual. DPI doesn't matter right now, so let's just go desktop. All right, export full resolution, and it exported. Here we go. Let me bring it over to this screen. There we go. Ugh. There we go. Yeah, it still doesn't look great over there, but I mean that was super far away and I was at 14 millimeters, so I can't expect too much out of that. But all of this stuff looks good to me. Down at the bottom, I mean everything's pretty crispy. This was at, it's a 1/80th of a second, so it's not going to be too sharp. I was kind of shooting this on the fly. This one was at f/22 at 0.5 seconds at ISO 50. So obviously it smoothed out all the water. You know, not much is going to be different here. Bring the shadows and whites down. Not have to do too much editing, but you get the point. I'm just doing this because some of you guys were really asking. Some of you guys are not videographers, so I wanted to make sure you saw these as well. So, wow, so what did it do to the... Did it do anything with dehaze? Yikes. It does not like this image at all. Because I shot this at 14 2.8 ISO 64, which is not the native ISO. Then I think the native ISO was at least like 100, 150. So it really did something to this one. Let's reset. Okay, reset. I'm just gonna fix some of this myself. I'm gonna look around the camera. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just because the sun was right behind there. Holy crap. Yeah. Wow. I've just never seen an image do that before, and I've edited thousands of photos. I've just never seen that before. Maybe I'm a dummy. Somebody tell me why that's happening. Because the sun was literally right here, so that must be, it's just really blowing it out. This is at 24. So anyway, I'll end the video right there. I know this is a long one, but if you're really looking to get this lens, hopefully this helped you out. You're able to watch and get a better sense of what you are looking for. If you are deciding between this lens or the 16 to 35 or the Tamron 28 to 70 or whatever it is, or the 17 to 28. You guys let me know if you're looking for something else on this lens. I know that as of right now, today is September 8th, 2019. This lens is still quite hard to find on B&H or elsewhere. So I must have ordered it at the right time and got an early shipment. But if you have another question about this lens, let me know, and I will see what I can do to accommodate that and do a test and let you know. Apparently one other thing, this lens is weatherproof, so thank you to whoever it is that mentioned that in the comment section of the last video. But I appreciate you guys watching. Give it a thumbs up if this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it.